Santham Academy. Welcome to Digital Kaksha. To get updates on new videos, click the subscribe button and the bell icon.
Hello students, today we are going to study about the types of charge distribution. Basically, there are two types of charge distribution. The first one is the continuous charge distribution, which is subdivided into three parts, and the another one is the discrete charge distribution. It means that when the charges are distributed randomly in any of the system, that is called as the discrete charge distribution. Whenever we have to find out any physical quantity with the discrete distribution of the charges, so mathematically there we are using the concept of summation. Now, when we are talking about the continuous charge distribution on any of the object, the charges, they are distributed uniformly and very close to each other, just one after the another, and that is why that particular distribution or arrangement of charges is called as the continuous charge distribution. The first type of continuous charge distribution is linear charge distribution. When on any one-dimensional object the charge is distributed, a physical quantity is defined for that charge distribution, which is represented by lambda and is called as the linear charge density. Now, this linear charge density is defined as the charge per unit length of the wire or any one-dimensional object. The SI unit for this lambda is given as coulomb per meter. If on this length of the wire, I'll take a small portion of the length, that is dl, where small amount of charge is present, it is dq, then the value dq upon dl is also the linear charge density. Coming to the next type of continuous charge distribution, when there is distribution of charge on a given area, that means on the two dimensions of any of the object, in that case the charge is distributed on the complete area, which can either be represented by A or S. So the charge distributed over the complete area is denoted by a symbol sigma, and it is called as the surface charge density. From the formula for sigma, it is very clear that the SI unit for sigma is coulomb per meter square. Coming to the next type of the charge distribution, it is volume charge distribution. The value for this charge distribution, it is represented by rho and is called as the volume charge density. This volume charge density is defined as the charge per unit volume of that object. The SI unit for this rho or volume charge density is given as coulomb per meter cube. Let us see the applications of Gauss theorem. The first application of Gauss theorem is to find the electric field due to an infinitely long, straight, uniformly charged wire. In the diagram, this pink color wire is an infinitely long wire on which the positive charges are given or distributed uniformly or in continuous manner. It can be extended in both the directions because we have taken it infinitely long in length. The shape of the Gaussian surface due to these charges distribution, it is cylindrical in shape. Now let us consider this cylinder, which is the Gaussian surface enclosing these charges which are distributed on this wire with its radius r and its length L. So for this particular charge distribution, we have to calculate the value of electric field using the mathematical formula of Gauss theorem. As we know that using Gauss theorem, we can write it as integration of vector E dot vector ds is equal to q upon epsilon naught. Now here this ds can be understood as ds into n cap. So complete integration of vector E dot ds n cap is equal to q upon epsilon naught. Let us see in the figure. According to the property of electric field lines, the electric field is directed in the outward direction. Here there is a small surface area taken, that is ds, on which the normal is being drawn, the unit vector is being drawn. Now this unit vector and this vector E, these two are parallel to each other. So the angle between these two vectors is 0 degree. So here now it can be written as E ds cos 0 is equal to q upon epsilon naught. We know that cos 0 degree is equal to 1. So we have E ds is equal to q upon epsilon naught. Here continuing further, E can be taken outside the integration sign. Integration of ds is equal to q upon epsilon naught, where ds is representing the small surface area of this cylinder. The limits will go from or vary from 0 to 2 pi r L, which is the formula for surface area of the cylinder. After substituting the limits and integrating ds, we will get s, and the limits will vary from 0 to 2 pi r L is equal to q upon epsilon naught. Solving it further, we will get E into 2 pi r L is equal to q upon epsilon naught. Here I shift these terms here in order to get the value of E. So can be written as 1 upon 2 pi epsilon naught q upon L into 1 upon R. Since we know that the charge distributed over the length of the wire is termed as the linear charge density, that is q upon L is equal to lambda. So this q upon L can be replaced further with this lambda. Also we know that in the formula of Coulomb's force, we are knowing the value of the constant, that is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, which is equal to 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton meter square per Coulomb square. So this formula or this constant 1 upon 2 pi epsilon naught can be converted in terms of 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. So the complete or the final nature of the formula for the electric field for this specific charge distribution can be written as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught 2 into lambda upon r, where in order to convert this 2 pi epsilon naught into 4 pi epsilon naught, I have multiplied this complete expression by 2 in the numerator as well as denominator. So the final formula for the electric field due to this given charge distribution is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught 2 lambda upon r. Coming to the next application of Gauss theorem, which is to calculate the electric field due to a uniformly charged thin spherical shell. Here in the figure, the white color is representing the uniformly charged spherical shell and the charges are shown with this yellow color. This shell has a radius r. When the charges are distributed over this shell, there are 3 possible Gaussian surfaces which are shown in the figure with 3 different colors. The first Gaussian surface is drawn inside the shell with yellow color. The second Gaussian surface is drawn just outside the shell with blue color, and the third Gaussian surface, it is drawn completely outside the shell and it has the radius r3. The second Gaussian surface has radius r2 and this r2 is to be taken nearly equal to the radius of the shell. Means mathematically we will be taking r2 to be nearly equal to r when it is required. So when there are 3 Gaussian surfaces, we will calculate the value of electric field for all these 3 Gaussian surfaces one by one. Let us start with the surface 1. The mathematical form of Gauss theorem is integration of EDS is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. Here the electric field direction and the unit vector, normal unit vector, are to be taken in such a way that they are parallel to each other. Because of that, the E dot ds and its integration is equal to integration of EDS cos theta, and theta when it is equal to 0, cos 0 is equal to 1. So ultimately we have this form as integration of EDS is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. So for surface 1, which is drawn with yellow color, as you can notice here that the charges are totally present outside this surface. In other words, I can say that there is no charge or there are no charges which are enclosed within this Gaussian surface which is marked as 1. Because of that reason, here it is written for surface 1 the charge is 0, and when I will substitute this value in equation number 1, I will get the value of electric field to be equal to 0. Let us come to the surface 2. For surface 2, the two values R2 and R, they are nearly equal. So when we will substitute these values in equation number 1, we will get E, I have taken outside the integration sign, integration of ds is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. We know that the surface area of this uniformly charged spherical shell is given by the formula 4 pi r square. That is why E into 4 pi r square is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. The value of E after rearranging the terms is obtained as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon r square. Coming to the third surface, which has got the radius r3. In equation number 1, when we will substitute the value, we will see that E integration of ds is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. Here Q, that is the charge, the total charge present on the shell is completely enclosed within this third Gaussian surface. So E into 4 pi r3 square is equal to q upon epsilon naught, and the value of E for the third Gaussian surface is calculated to be 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r3 square. So here from these formulae we can get the conclusion that the value of electric field varies inversely with square of distance from the center. Let us see the third application of Gauss theorem, that is to find electric field due to a uniformly charged infinite plane sheet. In the diagram, this is a plane sheet which is charged with the positive charges. On both the sides of the plane sheet, we can draw the diagram or the direction for the electric field, which is in outward direction. Along with that, the direction of the normal unit vector is also being drawn. So, electric field's direction and n cap direction you can see in the diagram on the right side as well as on the left side of this sheet. The Gaussian surface around that sheet can be taken as any surface with its area A. Now, using Gauss theorem, we can write the formula phi is equal to complete integration of vector E dot vector ds is equal to q upon epsilon naught. Since here between the electric field and unit vector n cap, the angle is of 0 degree. So on solving it further, we are writing it as integration of E ds cos 0 degree is equal to q upon epsilon naught. Since cos 0 degree is equal to 1, so integration of E ds is equal to q upon epsilon naught. Taking E outside the integration sign, now I have to integrate ds, and this integration is equal to q upon epsilon naught. This value of integration of ds, it will be having the complete value to be 2a, where we are taking the a to be the area of the Gaussian surface on one side of the sheet. Since in this case we can calculate the flux towards left as well as towards right, so the total value of the flux can be written as E into 2A is equal to q upon epsilon naught. Shifting this to a term here and after rearranging, E is equal to q upon A into 1 upon 2 epsilon naught. Since we know that the charge distributed on a given area is termed as the surface charge density and is denoted by sigma, so the final formula for electric field comes out to be E is equal to sigma upon 2 epsilon naught. Now let us study about the fourth application of Gauss theorem, which is electric field due to two uniformly charged infinite plane sheets. Here in the diagram there are two uniformly charged plane sheets named as A and B. These two sheets are separated by a certain distance, and because of their positions there are three regions forming: first, second and third. Now here the directions of electric fields due to both the sheets are marked in all the three regions. Using the property of electric field lines, we know that the direction of electric field due to the positive charges is always in outward direction. So in region 1, the directions of EA and EB will be away from both the sheets, and that is why are marked towards left side. Coming to the region 2, in this region the direction of electric field due to sheet A will be towards right, and due to sheet B, it will be towards left. In the third region, the directions of electric fields EA and EB will be towards right side. Now, using the applications of Gauss theorem, we are already knowing that the formula for electric field due to a single infinitely long charged sheet is given by E is equal to sigma upon 2 epsilon naught. Now here we will be calculating the electric fields in all these three regions one by one by considering their directions as well. So in the region 1, where EA and EB both are directed towards left, the resultant value of electric field in region 1 is given as minus of EA plus EB. Here we are taking the magnitudes, so that is equal to minus 1 upon 2 epsilon naught, which we are getting from here, which is the expression for electric field due to a single infinitely long charged sheet. Within bracket, we are getting sigma 1 plus sigma 2. Now these two sheets, although they are charged with the positive charges, but their charge densities are different, which is marked as sigma 1 for sheet A and sigma 2 for sheet B, which we are using in the formula for the resultant values of electric field in region 1, 2 and 3. For the second region, the electric field by seeing the diagram will be given by EA minus EB. EA is directed towards positive x-axis, so with positive sign, and EB, which is towards negative x-axis, is written here with negative sign. It is equal to 1 upon 2 epsilon naught sigma 1 minus sigma 2. In the third region, both EA and EB are directed towards positive x-axis, so electric field in region 3 is given as EA plus EB. It is equal to 1 upon 2 epsilon naught within bracket sigma 1 plus sigma 2. So I hope students, you all must have understood the different applications of Gauss theorem, and all of you have liked watching the video. So thank you all for watching this video.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like, share and subscribe for more.